to the world.
There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM. With over 140 channels in your vehicle, your all-access trial includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video on Demand. What you love is on now.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning in for this Friday edition of CMA Connected, presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu, and on today's lunchtime learning session, we're going to go with the brand for the first time. Yes, this is their debut with us on CMA. We were supposed to get them on earlier, but we're happy we made the plans and got them on before the end of the year. We are talking about SQL Audio, and more specifically, we're going to be diving into two of their products, which is Soundmat and Soundwave. Now, from what I understand, there's some news on one of these two products that will be receiving an update, but we're not going to get into that right away because first we want to invite our Canadian exclusive distributor of said brand. That is, of course, Importel. And when we come to Importel, it's my man Romesh. What's going on, Ro?
Hey, Ben, how you doing?
It's Friday, man. I'm not gonna lie. I'm looking forward to the weekend.
It's Friday?
Yes, it's Friday, and we here have our Christmas holiday party this weekend, so I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Look at you.
Yeah,
Christmas is coming.
It is.
We have gifts. We're gonna be talking about gifts today.
Good. So this is one that we've been wanting to do for a while. We finally coordinated everything, and
lots of moving parts.
But hey, we made it happen. We've got a special guest that's joining us from a retail perspective as well.
Yes.
Cumber from Sounds Good. He's been on before, and he certainly has something to say when it comes to this brand. Apparently, he's pretty passionate about it as well.
Oh, he is. Let me tell you, lots of experience with it, hands-on.
So,
lots.
Importel, Soundmat, SQL Audio. Talk to me a little bit. This is a kind of like the go-to brand for you guys, right? When it comes to this category.
Yeah, when it comes to multi-layer sound deadening, this is definitely our go-to. We've done really well with it. It ties in well with the audio brands that we do. We have some interesting programs that benefit retail consumers as well that tie in with the sound deadening. But obviously the first thing is the Soundmat and the Soundwave need to work the way they're supposed to, and we'll be talking about why they work and how they work.
Like everything, right? Whether we're talking about speakers or subs or anything else, there's multiple players in each category. Soundmat seems to be one of those that have kind of been tied to a couple top level installs that I've seen come through, our social, as far as the dealers are concerned. Why do you think that is?
I think the product functions the way it's supposed to, and it's got a high bar that it set for itself from a sound deadening standpoint, and then that ties right into the audio product that it's being installed with, right? So whether it be a luxury car or a older vehicle, it doesn't really matter, right? Like we've seen, it doesn't matter what the ticket is on the vehicle. It's people are installing speakers to get better sound. And
100%.
The way we're going to do that is with a high quality or high performance sound deadening like Soundmat.
Yeah, we've talked about this category on multiple different platforms, and it's one of those areas of profitability that dealers, we constantly want to remind them to kind of be mindful of. It's that one item that you can add to set install that makes a dramatic, noticeable improvement, especially for the amount of dollar that you're putting in as far as an ROI is concerned. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you hit it right there, is the dramatic difference. I mean, sure, there's obviously we're, businesses are in business to make money, but the outcome, like having that demo, being able to demo it in the sales floor, or even better in a vehicle that you have there on site, right? And having something set up where that dramatic difference, in quotations that you just used, is evident to the consumer. It's no longer sort of a profit story; it's a performance story, right? And it's like, hey, we're selling you these speakers, X brand of high performance speaker, and we're doing all of this extra work of tuning and integrating and all of this extra stuff, and then you're talking about missing the profit opportunity. I think you're missing a performance opportunity, and then the profit part takes care of itself because there's a benefit to the consumer, right? And I think that's the part that we maybe, as and I say we as the retailer, because as a distributor we work hand in hand with our retail partners. It's really to get that message across to the consumer, right? It's, hey, not that it's not a profit story as much as it's we really don't feel good about opening your doors and doing all this work. And it's a tiny bit more work to install this product,
but it's not optimized if you don't.
Correct. And we're really missing out on that performance opportunity, right?
You say performance opportunity. So I'm going to bring up a question now with you. I'm going to bring up a question with our next guest. And I'm going to bring on a question with Keith when he comes on later. And this is the kind of ongoing saga of sound deadening. Are you better to sell the customer a higher end set of speakers without sound deadening, or step one level down and add the sound deadening to optimize the performance of that level speaker? I'd like to hear you before I go on.
Well, I think ideally you always want to sell sound deadening. So I don't believe that there's ever a time that you aren't going to sell sound deadening, because it just completely changes the lower frequency cancellation that you're going to have in the suck out, to use an industry term, right? Where you're going to have areas where you're just going to lose frequency response.
But if I have a budget, though, like I'm the consumer,
well, right? So you're going to
listen. I have this much money. What do you suggest?
I would feel better as a retailer selling a complete package, because I can always upgrade once the sound deadening's done. Like, we've already had the doors off, we've already had everything, everything out. We pulled the old speakers out. We got to clean down the surfaces and then apply the medium and then put the speakers in. If that fits into a certain budget, then so be it. But I mean, typically, for what the cost of sound deadening is, I don't believe the sound deadening in the install is going to change for salespeople that sell on feature advantage benefit and not based on a price point. The customers are going to come in with a need, and they're going to listen to a set of speakers and audition them either in a car or on a display, and then they're going to say, I want those. Right. And then the way to properly install them is with sound deadening. So the budget part, usually, I don't believe that people are coming into our showrooms with their last $200 to spend, till their mortgage payment. So, if it was 200 or 300 or whatever the number is, I believe that there's probably more room in the budget, if that makes any sense.
If you can,
so I'm kind of skirting.
I'm kind of your job selling it and justifying it and demonstrating.
I know me as a consumer, if you can appeal to my good sense, and I go in there with a number in my mind because I don't have enough information typically to make, I think I did, or I thought I did when I walked in, because I did my homework and I went here and I talked to so-and-so and I did all this stuff. And then I walk in and the person says, hey, you're kind of missing out because, this is the reason. Let me demonstrate it for you. And I mean, I don't know if salespeople, if we're the worst suckers in general, but I'm a laydown. No, yeah, because of that.
I am too.
Because right. But if you can explain it in a way that is not super techy, but it's something that you can feel, touch, put your, just bite right into it.
It's the value,
right?
And knowing that, and it's that top-down selling thing. If you once you take it away, it's like, man, wait a minute, I didn't want that taken away. Hold on a second now, and all of a sudden that whole preconceived notion thing is out the window. Anyway, we can go deeper on that.
So that's kind of my answer to it is, I don't believe that that typically in a sales floor, if the person is an experienced salesperson, they're really going to get into that, because it's not a cute, we're not talking about thousands of dollars,
Right,
and the
right.
person may already be into a $3,000 set of three-way active components, right? I don't believe that few $100s either
But
way was going to be the change.
and
Was
I'm
going to change
I'm
that
gonna
deal.
circle this back. We're
Mhm.
gonna table this for a second because
Sure.
I don't believe that discussion is based on the customer who's spending that $2,000, $3,000, $4,000.
Sure.
I'm curious about the customer who's spending $150 to $200 on a pair of
Okay.
speakers. All right, so we'll circle back with that.
Yeah, sure.
If you guys are tuning in live or on, especially if you're live, we'd love to hear your comments on that. If you're a retailer, this is gonna be an ongoing discussion for this. But let's get into specifics about SQL Audio. Standing by in the back studio, we're gonna bring him on right now. We've been meaning to have this gentleman on for some time. Here's my preview. Was in Canada, originally from England, now resides in Arizona, and we're going to connect all these dots today. I'd like to welcome Mr. Scott Hirst from SQL Audio to CMA Connected. What's going on, Scott?
I'm good, buddy. Thank you for inviting me to the discussion.
Well,
Hey, Scott, how you doing?
Super happy to have you. Like we said before, we meant to have you earlier. Didn't work out. We're happy that we got this together today. So from my understanding, you are based in Arizona right now. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
And you are what is your title at SQL Audio, so everybody knows?
So I am one of the founding owners. Originally born and raised in the UK, left when I was 14, lived in Vancouver, Canada, 14 years. And majority of our business was USA based. So we decided to move to Arizona, open a warehouse and go worldwide.
Oh, wow. So first of all, kudos to myself. I didn't get your story wrong. I did it right. You are from the UK, resided in Canada, now in the US. Let's talk about SQ. So SQL Audio is the company. Today specifically, we'll be talking about two of the products that you guys make. One being Soundmat, which is a sound deadening material solution. And the other one is Soundwave, which is really unique. If you guys watched that video in the beginning, it's kind of like a material that goes around speaker to enclose it and have contact whereby the door panel, there's no extra air or escape of sound. Did I sort of kind of explain that properly?
Exactly.
Okay. Let's talk about the story. How did this all start? How did a UK bloke end up in Canada to get into car audio, and all of a sudden now you're a manufacturer global?
So I am. Let's go back to the first bones, I guess you could say. So I'm third generation, I guess, in the automotive industry. My grandfather started it in the car dealership world, and then when I was probably 6 years old, I got introduced when my dad had dealerships, and he would bring a lot of cars over from the Japanese market. My dad was actually the largest Japanese importer in the UK. And a lot of cars that come over on the ships, they're already modified. You get like a Toyota Supra or a Skyline, it's got a double din deck in it. It's got speakers and stuff. So we'd learn how to rip it out or change something out to make it work. So it's in English format. And that's kind of how it started, raising in the UK. I don't know if you've ever been to Europe, but, a lot of the cars there are super small, like a Peugeot 106 as an example. Growing up when I was 17, 18 years old, me and my brother, I guess the fact at the time was, we were big into stereos. You'd look at everybody going around town. They'd be like this steering wheel driving around while the subwoofers are pounding. That was the thing back in the day. So we wanted to put the biggest boxes possible and kind of just grew into it. And it's a fascination. It's a hobby. What was a hobby and a passion, turned into a business. And that's exactly how we like to do our business models. It's not about the money. It's about doing something that you love. So that's how it started. We moved to Canada. So we didn't actually start SQL probably till about 2017. But the reason for starting it is I'm actually a commercial pilot by trade. So
interesting. That's a side note. Okay, commercial pilot by trade.
Left England when I was 14. Studied to be a commercial pilot. While I was saving up money to go to school, I was working for a company in Vancouver called Visions Electronics. It's basically like Best Buy. Mm-hmm. So I was in sales there. Had a great time. That's where I met a lot of the guys in the industry, like Tyler Nolt. He was actually at the location that I was working at, so we'd work hand in hand. I was doing the sales, he was doing the installation, and outlived my stay at Visions and wanted to move up the ladder and get into more of a niche market with high end audio. So I got a phone call from Keith McCumber.
Oh, I see.
And we ended up in a coffee shop on a lunch break while I was still working for Visions Electronics. And he basically offered me a job on the spot. So I put my notice in, and nothing against Visions whatsoever. But, if you want to learn something in the industry, you have to be a little selfish sometimes. So I moved up the ladder and worked for Keith probably for I think it was like a couple of years, I want to say at least. And then left on really good terms with Keith. And then next thing you know, I actually moved right next door. But the reason for moving next door is my mum actually had cancer twice, and I almost lost my mum. My dad had Crohn's disease and a lot of other stuff. He had 5 operations one year, and I almost lost both my parents. And me and my brother came together, and we literally sat one day and said, you know, it's one of those things where we wanted to create something for our parents to be proud, I guess you could say. So we created a company called 22 Distribution, and 22 means 2 brothers, 2 genre of products. So we have SQL Audio, and we own Wakshan Car Care as well. We wanted to make our family proud, basically showing that we can work together as a family, that we can create something really cool. You know, I'm not trying to be the richest guy in the world or anything like that, but I want to have fun doing what we do. So then that happened. We moved next door to Keith. That's where we started our first retail store, Everything Car Care. We started in the detail sector. And while doing that, I
was wondering how Keith would have felt if you opened a car audio shop right next to him.
Yeah, exactly. That would have been fun. I'm not gonna lie, that would have been really fun. But we started in the car detailing, and then I started distributing for a couple of brands in Canada for car audio. That's when we moved to the next location, which was probably 15 miles down the road from where Keith is. And basically from that point, I'm looking at all these brands and what they have to offer. And I'm looking, you know, I wanted to create something that's a disposable product that's going to sell well, that's going to be ease of use, installation, price point, you know, as well as the performance. So we created SQL Audio. SQL acronym is sound quality. You know, you have SQ, SP, but we wanted to create SQL. We trademarked it, and that's just how it worked out. And yeah, then business just kind of took off. We started in a garage, and we ended up in 47 countries now.
Wow, amazing. So let's fast track that to today. You've been established now as one of the main brands in the category when it comes to sound deadening or sound control. I want to get into the product a little bit, because for listeners tuning in who might be, you know, hearing Soundmat, the story for the first time, you know, there are a lot of options out there in any category. Talk to us a little bit about your mindset when it came to pertinent characteristics of your product that you absolutely want to make sure came through in the final product.
So first things first, you know, there's a lot of competitors on the market, guaranteed. There's a lot of great products on the market. But when we actually officially launched Soundmat, you know, a lot of the brands who were pretty well versed in the industry had taken a back seat. You know, there was some partnerships that went south, and to me, that was an opportunity. So we wanted to create Soundmat. We were a little bit different with the material that we use. We're 5 millimeters thick, not 4.5 like other industry standards. Closed cell foam is very, very premium. The density is awesome. The butyl is natural butyl, and we work with a factory that is exclusive to us. And they actually, so they say, they invented basically what butyl was before it came to market. You know, and I look at a lot of the competitors that were out there, and I'm looking at all these horror stories of how the butyl's peeling off from the roof, and you see all this black residue and black tar, and it doesn't come off easy. So we went to the drawing board to create something that not only adheres really well and sets over 24 hours for a very good bond, but we wanted something where if you wanted to peel it off, it's not leaving that nasty residue behind. And it came down to the factor of a self-adhesive backing that was on the butyl, like a sticky layer. And what happens over time, that actually mixed with the butyl, created contamination, and that's what made it very liquidy. So we wanted to make 100% pure butyl, no tar, that stuck really well. And the foil's fantastic, the thermal properties, the resistance, what is it? I think it was 160 degrees Celsius. So 300 and something degrees Fahrenheit. And
before you go too far, what about the other? I mean, you know, the Canadian weather, right? And obviously Importel, and we're talking also a lot, you know, we have international viewers, but let's talk about the Canadian climate for a second here. I've also heard horror stories of, you know, customers who've paid top dollar to get this stuff installed, and all of a sudden it doesn't last the winter. So I'd like to hear what you have to say about that.
Yeah, so that's the properties of the butyl. What happens when colder weather happens, the viscosity gets a lot thicker, it creates cracking and crazing. With ours, it is very durable. I want to say it was minus 30 degrees to 160 degrees Celsius, whatever that is in Fahrenheit, I'm not quite sure. But it's been tried and tested. Before we actually released to the public and wanted to go retail with this, we sent it to Alaska. I sent it to Costa Rica. I sent it to Peru, Mexico, America. We all different humidity types as well, not just temperature. And we tested it behind the scenes probably for a good 3-4 months on an exposed panel, and it was just left upside down. And you know, for me, I had it on my personal vehicle. I had it underneath the hood where the engine block is, you know, and not once did it ever peel. That's when we knew we had something that was tried and tested, and it was going to be badass for the market.
Well, I gotta say, there's some pictures here that we've lined up that I want to kind of show our audience just to see the way it lays down. I think that's what people would be looking for, and most people watching would be familiar. Hold on, I got to throw up some props when props are coming in. We love SQL products. We use the mat and the foam rings. Thank you, Conrad from Sudbury Audio. All right, so here we go. Let's take a look at this. So this is a clean, I mean, a really clean door panel install. Talk to us about this. What do you want people to notice when they see this? Our
sheets are basically 1 meter by 1/2 meter thick. They are made to be the size of a door panel, but nowadays with new vehicles coming up, the door panels are a little bit bigger. So when you look at this picture in particular, you can see how it's like a 45-degree. When you're lining up sheet for sheet, you can see the transition of how it looks. It's pretty easy flowing. It looks really cool. It's capturing. It works well. You've got the Soundwave, which is going around. So that's actually Soundwave XL. It's going in the shape of obviously like a 5x7, 6x9, but you can see it's a 2-way active component system. It's just super clean. This one I think was actually monstered by Rangel, if I'm not mistaken. He's my Mexico distributor. But they just did a really clean job on this, and it's impressive. You know, the ultimate goal is to create an enclosure for the speaker to maximize the performance of what that speaker is capable of doing.
And you know, we talked about that earlier, Scott. You were in the back studio listening to Romesh and I dialogue. You know, we're talking all different range of speakers. Here obviously is a very high end range of speaker, and you know, Soundmat was decided to be the deadening material of choice. Talk to us about this image here.
Yeah, so again, Monster by Rangel, he's got an amazing audience. Specifically, this post is when Ricardo signed on with us. He really helped boost the Latin community. Our audience in Latin America is extremely huge. And it's because of posts like this, of being able to show the community, believing in the brand, believing in the product. And for us, it's not just about the product, it's the experience. You know, if I can offer you an experience which is going to be second to none, that's price point conscious, that's, you know, being able to deliver a product directly to the consumer, that's the most important thing for me. You know, the price is the last thing. So he killed it with that one.
But even then,
I mean, Ricardo's business model, I mean, he really maximizes every install, right? Like, and when I say maximizes, it doesn't necessarily mean price point, but they really don't kind of, I don't want to use cut corners, but there are no parts of the installation that are not addressed, right?
Exactly.
So if they're doing an installation, it's getting SQL Soundmat. It's, you know, everything will be done. If you had a checklist of things to do, and it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't matter if it's $500 speakers, $300 speakers, $5,000 speakers, and I don't want to say they're cookie cut because they're definitely bespoke to each application, but they have a recipe that works, which is all of the, I'll call it physics, or all of the things that we need to be doing to optimize an install in our bay.
Are always
right. It's like, bespoke plates and everything, everything's properly baffled and properly sealed between the mounting plate and the, there are no gaps. There are no, like, all of those things that we're supposed to be doing as an industry, and that, maybe the industry as a whole doesn't always hit.
They do.
You can go on there. I mean,
every time.
Yeah. Go on their Instagram page. I mean, I sit there looking at stuff, and I wish I understood Spanish. I try to use my French to sort of translate some of it, and I have to listen to about 10 times to sort of pick at it. But
I mean, that is a premium shop. Is it kind of call them a shop? No, they're a distributor.
Very boutique.
Boutique.
Yeah.
Anyway,
their execution is complete.
But
if you look at the cars they have in there, they're everything from a GTI to a what is that, an SRT? So it's a Hellcat, I guess.
Yeah, these are just some really great imagery for those that are looking at how this stuff lays down, the pliability of it. how it can get in between the creases. That's really what I think we want to show with these images, right, Scott?
Exactly. And one of the biggest things too is when you look at this, the direction of all the logos and how it lays down. A lot of shops today, they in the old days, they never really showed the installation process to the customer for social media. Now that social media is blown up, you know, the nitty gritty and the fine things, showing how you install as a, you know, as a shop, I think is really important. And that's one of the reasons of wanting to develop SQL Soundmat is, you know, the fine details of, you know, showing how proud you guys are, not only installing, but the capabilities of what it's able to do. I mean, look at that one right there on the floor. It looks
that
sick.
floor, yeah, that looks factory, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So we've done everything from car stereo installs with sound deadening, and you know, we've had customers come in with Hellcats that have this drone noise from the exhaust system, and they just say sound deaden the chassis, sound deaden the floor, the roof, the sides, and it is a noticeable difference when it is installed of the before and after. So
100%.
Actually, there's an interesting application that we've heard multiple times here, and I think maybe even when Conrad just chimed in, it reminded me. We've had express vans like Chevy Express vans or Savannah vans or Ford Econoline style vans or the newer Transit, you know, 250s, the big ones, where when you drive down the road, if you've ever rented one or moved anything yourselves personally, I'm sure people can, you know, it resonates.
Yep.
With us when you're driving down the road and it just sounds like a big tin can. We've had people just buy 2-3 bulk boxes and just like there was almost no audio upgrade in the vehicle. It was just make this thing stop. There was just like a work truck with tools in it. Just make it stop.
And it's not just a little bit, like it is dramatic. You can 100% notice the difference. It's really cool.
We want to talk to the retail experience a little bit. I think we touched on a couple examples of the dialogue that could happen with a customer and the salesperson. But I mean, how important is it to show it physically? Really, I mean, I think it makes a huge difference. Scott, if you could speak to this a little bit.
Yeah, it's there's that saying, you know, sex sells, and for me, the sex is the look of the product and the performance of what it is. And this is a really cool example of a demonstration in the shop. You know, the left side on that right picture is it's replicating what happens when you just install a speaker. And it doesn't have to be an expensive speaker, but it will sound like a tin can when it's in there if you have the factory membrane. And then obviously ripping that out and using that exact same speaker with our sound deadening is creating a tight sealed enclosure that's going to give a performance of that speaker to sound like a $2,000-$3,000 set. So you want to maximize the performance as best as possible. And it goes back to the question that you actually asked Romesh earlier. You know, if a customer comes in, you know, with sound deadening, does it make a difference in the sale? And my answer is 100% yes. You know, you don't know what that customer's coming in for with a budget. That customer may want to spend $1,000, may want to spend $5,000, may want to spend $10,000. And if I sell them a $3,000 set of speakers, it's going to sound amazing when it's in the car without anything. But with a DSP tune, with sound deadening, it's going to make it sound like a $6,000-$7,000 set of speakers. It's the experience inside that vehicle. And it's the same thing. I could get a $98 set of speakers and do this exact same thing, add the sound deadening to it, and the performance and the sound is going to be night and day. And that's how I sell.
I got to be honest. On this journey of learning as we go along, I actually physically heard a difference of just adding deadening material, let's say, sound, without even changing the speaker.
Yep.
Like it's to that point. You know what I mean? That's what people need to realize. Like I've seen displays, you know, we talked to Jody over at 5 Axis Innovations. He does these custom displays, and he has this one display for sound deadening material where the original one is just a factory speaker, and next to it is that same factory speaker, but with sound. It's, you know what I mean? Real quick, I want to circle back. When you guys launched, you said it was 2017, right? You said,
correct.
And you made you showed up at SEMA that year.
We did. We had a first launch at SEMA with SQL Audio, and we went to the new product showcase. And lo and behold, a couple of days later, I got a phone call saying to come and meet the SEMA reps, and we won a global award for Soundmat and Soundwave. It was an amazing experience. Never in a million years that I think we'd win something for it, but we did.
That's a big deal, winning an award at SEMA. I'm not gonna lie.
Thank you.
That's a big deal. So congratulations to you guys on that.
Appreciate that.
I have a guest waiting in the back, but before we get to him, I promised everybody there's a little mini announcement that we want to talk about, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Scott, it has to do with the Soundwave product.
Sure.
What's that all about?
So I guess we'll touch base on Soundwave itself. It's a modular product. It's these closed cell foam strips that you can use inside a door panel to stop the vibration over cables, if you need it as a baffle against a door panel, but more specifically because of its closed cell foam waterproof ability. It goes around the outside of a speaker basically, and as it sits on the door panel, you're creating this lossless sound barrier where the sound is directed into the cabin versus sideways throughout the panel, which is going to create vibration. You're going to lose sound performance. So we wanted to create something that's going to be badass. And this product,
we love badass. We love badass.
It is badass. It's inexpensive, but there is so many applications that you can do with this product. Whether you use it in an A-pillar for vibration, whether you use it in a door panel, whether you want to use it in a subwoofer box when you have a beauty panel going up to stop the vibration. Because a lot of guys now are using these magnets, you know, to secure a beauty panel. But with bass, it will vibrate over time. It happens. So a lot of my guys are basically putting these strips on, putting the magnets on, and it's 100% effective.
All right, let's take a look.
Please.
What are we looking at here?
So this is a new product we are about to launch. We have the inventory in stock. We created something called Soundwave Edge. Now, the difference between Soundwave Edge and the original Soundwave that came out, Soundwave was both wavy on both sides of the straight strip. It works really well, but when it goes around the application of the speaker, we wanted to create something where it doesn't hit the rubber gasket over time and create wear on that speaker. So you can see the straight edge actually goes on the inner circumference, and it fits perfectly around a speaker so that you get great performance. The length goes up to 8 inches in diameter. And yeah, we're really excited to launch this product. So it's going to be readily available.
Help me understand this. Is this coming in strips or did this come pre-cut into circles?
These are strips. So they are strips that can be molded into pretty much any shape. It's on the back side of it, it has 3M double-sided sticky. So you can make it into a zigzag, you can make it into a circle, square, triangle, Ben? Whatever it is you need.
If you tab back a few through those pictures that Ricardo had, there's a really good demo right there.
Yep.
So that one there, you'll notice that is a Soundwave strip. Now, because the plate had the GB25 with the GB60, they went around the entire circumference. You can see the joint right at kind of 6 o'clock, right at the bottom there.
Mm-hmm.
So now you see how that was corrugated, if you will, on the inner side facing the speaker. When you put the plastic on, what Scott was saying is when you put the plastic door panel back on, you're trying to create a gasket by compressing that foam, right?
Correct.
Well, when you compress the zigzag, depending on how you've placed it, like in this case it clears, right? In this case it clears, but in certain cases you could potentially come in contact with the rubber surround,
which would affect the excursion.
Correct, and then you know it would affect the sound and the durability of the speaker and a bunch of different things. So this shows you a great example of it being not in a circle, right? Because it does come in a straight strip.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But B, how you could use it in different applications. Sorry, go ahead, Scott.
No, it's all good. So you look at that picture there, you notice how it's around the speaker adapter rather than the speaker itself. And every vehicle is different. It's the space that you have to work with within that door panel. So not every vehicle you're going to be able to do that huge adapter. You know, so BMW is a great example. You got 5 1/4, 3-inch speakers. So you need to work within those parameters, and having that Soundwave Edge allows it to get in such a tighter circumference where you're not losing the performance of that speaker. The goal is to create the performance, the experience for that customer. And with Soundwave Edge, it's 100%. That's exactly what we're aiming for.
Here's a question. Would you recommend this also on tweeters?
You can, but the biggest thing that with the door panels versus tweeters is with moisture over time, vibration, you want to maximize the low frequency performance rather than the mids and the highs. You know, it will help with the directional, but obviously with higher frequency, it's more like a flashlight. It's like a laser. Whether with low performance, you know, it's more wideband dispersion. So we're trying to keep that wideband dispersion narrowed into the cabin itself rather than going into the door panel.
All right, great, guys. For those of you tuning in, if you have any questions for Scott on anything regarding SQL Soundmat or Soundwave, now's the time. But what we're going to do now, let's bring in a guest. I'll bring in some perspective from a retail standpoint, somebody who has extensive experience not only selling but also installing the product and engaging their customer experience, as you mentioned, Scott. Let's go to Vancouver or BC. I'm not sure where he is exactly, but he's definitely in BC. Keith McCumber from Sounds Good. What's going on, Keith?
I'm on Burke Mountain this morning at home, my home office.
Well, good morning. Good morning. Thank you for making the time, sir.
Morning, sir.
Hey.
So Keith, you've been sitting here listening to our little chat here about Soundmat, and obviously you have a little bit of history with Scott. My first question to you is, from a product perspective, how long have you been selling this product?
Since its inception. So I've been using products like this for a long time because
Obviously,
I recognize the value. But this particular product came in just as I was having problems with another name branded product that was very similar to this. And it was kind of a disaster because the stuff would drip all over this really nice work that we had done. And we had a Volkswagen bus to do. And we wanted to put something like this in here, but I was really nervous because it was a $250,000 car.
For a Volkswagen bus?
Oh yeah.
Oh, it was pristine.
Was that the one that we just saw in the images a second ago?
Probably. Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Cool.
A massive one. And so the customer, well, obviously really picky, but basically they're huge tin cans. And he didn't want the tin can sound. So we had to do something. And Scott called us up and said, hey, I have this opportunity. It's like, oh, this is going to be so good. However, if this screws up, I'm suing you.
No pressure.
And the thing is, I totally believe this story. Let's keep going.
And the customer, it's been like, what, 4 years now? Super awesome. It's a show bus. The paint job is like 30 grand. Just incredible.
Okay, it's like a super primo mint vehicle.
Yeah.
Now, I have a lot of questions. So, we covered, when it comes to this type of product, there's a couple of things that are important. Number one, installation, right? What is the feedback from your installers or yourself when it comes to installing the product in multiple, whether it's RV or car, whatever, everything?
Well, I'll give you 3 ideas for it.
Sure.
First of all, it comes in sheets. So much better than a round tube, from my humble opinion. When it comes in a sheet, we don't have to unroll it and straighten it out because then the backing doesn't fit right anymore. There's this
because it creases, right? It's bendy. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, I got you.
So because the compression is there, it pulls on the paper, and then the paper gets kind of crappy, and then it doesn't stick so well anymore. So coming in a flat sheet, huge advantage. Shipping, probably not so much because it's a pretty big shipping piece, but we buy it by the skid, so it doesn't really matter for us. People who are buying smaller amounts, sorry. Second thing about it is that when you roll it on, you only have to push on it once with the roller and it stays. Like, the sticking part is incredible. It just does a great job around corners and tall, small, little tight areas. I'm not sure what kind of roller you guys use, but we have ours. It's like a Indian rubber kind of stuff. It's really tough, rolls really well. And then the third thing, of course, is that it stays.
I was just going to say adhesion. I want to know about the adhesion because that's really big. Because the last thing you want is to charge a customer, put all this time and effort into it, and then it comes back. Like, that's not something you want coming back.
No, because we've had that before. It's a huge nightmare to clean up and then reinstall new stuff. It takes hours.
That's a polite PG way of saying it, Keith. I can imagine your face in the shop as you were doing it.
I was asked to not swear today.
Right. So you have confidence in the adhesion performance of this product is what I was after.
Extreme, yes.
Okay.
Like, it's proven itself time and time again. So like I say, I buy it by the skid because I have that much confidence. And speaking of which, I'm getting low again, Scott. Can you go ahead and ship me another one, please?
There you go.
Yes,
There
sir.
you go. Okay. Keith, you are known to output some incredible systems, a top level, sound and experience is everything that you live and stand by. We've talked about a million times. Can you walk me through a little bit how you incorporate this line item into a sale to a customer? I just want to hear the Keith way of doing it.
Do you have speakers at home for home stereo? Yeah, they're in a box,
absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
Typically in a box. They're sealed. Maybe they have a port, a pre-designed port to give it more excursion ability, more output. Well, your door is not the same. Your door is a sieve. and it has to allow water to leave. It has to have access to certain things like windows and, moving parts, right? So not the best environment for a speaker, because the enclosure is kind of like having a muffler with holes in it. It's kind of useless. So what we do is we build an enclosure in your door to allow the speaker to have a baffle to give it some back pressure. When it has back pressure, it can do a much better job in giving you lower frequencies. And then once you've done that portion, you need to pipe it out past the door panel. So that's where the edge comes in. And so once you can pipe that information from the speaker out past the limitations of the door panel, you can have the best sound in the world. Would you like that today?
And that is
Yes.
a masterclass on how to sell some sound deadening at the point of sale to the customer. Thank you, Keith. I do want to add some sound dampening, sir. Yes, add the card. Now, I'm going to come back to the question I started with Romesh. I didn't really get into it, Scott, but I think I know what Scott's answer is, but I want to hear your answer on this. I'm laughing because I got Ricky going, McCumber selling 101. I'll buy it. Okay. You have a customer in front of you. Are you better off from a dealer perspective selling them the upgrading to the highest level speaker possible within their budget that you think they can afford, or taking a step down but making sure that sound editing is in there to optimize their performance? How do you? Or is that not even an option? Like, I just want to know.
No, it's not. So you were expressing earlier how you had heard the difference between a factory speaker in a door and a factory speaker with a treated door. Well, I have that display from AudioStack in both of my stores, and we show people how you can have a really expensive speaker put into a cavity like that and still have really crappy sound. So rather than have crappy sound with spending a whole bunch of money on a speaker, we're just going to go ahead and do that for you. And these, I think, are going to work best for your. So we have this board from AudioStack that shows different kinds of speakers, and everybody, because they have hearing damage, no matter, well, all you guys are old enough to have hearing damage, even you, Scott.
I do.
What?
So my job is to find out where that damage is. And so all of our speakers on our board have a different sonic signature. And because we sell on sonic signatures and try and compensate for the hearing damage that you have, it's not about the money of the speaker. It's about what works best for your ears. And you're always going to get sound deadening. Always.
People need to watch this. People need to watch this episode back and get some learn on here. Keith is offering up some like serious expertise going on here. Yeah, Conrad's freaking out on what you just said, and Josh Anthony is saying he loves working with this stuff. Okay, what do you think, Keith, of this new improvement that Scott and his team have done to right here, this new Soundwave Edge? Do you think that actually makes a difference? I'd like to hear your opinion.
Of course. So a speaker, being round, has a trajectory like this. If the dispersion factor gets stifled, then the wave changes. And when the wave changes, everything changes. You're not going to get the same thing coming out past the door. So the other stuff, what I've been using it for is for sound diffusion in the door. So when the piston of the speaker moves back into the cavity, there's a wave that happens behind there. And what you want to do is stifle that wave so it doesn't create a square wave kind of effect and make things rattle. So we use a strip here and a strip there, and it stops the wave from actually working. So the corrugated or the shape that it's in works really, really well that way, much like in a studio. So if you go to a recording studio,
the acoustic foam panels.
Yeah, egg cartons and things like that on the wall. So that shape really helps with that application. Whereas the speaker, the front of the speaker, you really want nothing there to change that shape. And so this is perfect. Thank you very much for making this.
Scott, welcome, do you have any comments to what Keith said? Or are you loving every word of it right now? Because I figured
I'm loving it. Honestly, I'll be honest. I'm excuse my language. I'm not a bullshitter. Neither is Keith. We stand behind our products and we stand behind the passion of what we want to build. To me, it's the experience of what we can give the customer. And for everybody who is listening right now, you need to be selling sound deadening with every single sale. It's one of those things. A customer comes in with a budget. That budget.
And you're not just saying your sound deadening. You're saying sound deadening at large.
No, exactly. Like if you look at all the competitors out there, there are other people that have multi-stacked layer products. And great companies at the end of the day, but There's also a lot of companies that offer sound deadening, but it's a multi-step process where you have to buy the first material, the second material, the third material to even get close to the experience of what we can offer with what we have.
And you have to make it stick.
Exactly. So if I can
Right.
offer you something that's going to be, awesome for the experience, it's not going to break the bank, it's going to help the budget towards the customer in that sale, absolutely. Sell it all day long.
And then there's, to Ben's original question, there's the, cost factor that he was bringing into the, the finished cost. Well, if you're going to put in 2 or 3 layers, you might not be into 2 or 3 times the amount of labor, but you're definitely into it for more labor than the first application only and be just, one and done. That works against your value proposition. But I think the big part, to sort of jump in on Scott's question, or the question you had for Scott, was it's a value proposition, right? Like we're doing a disservice to the consumer. In my belief, in my thought process when I was on the sales floor, is I wouldn't do it in my car. Is this the best thing for the customer? Am I saving him this minor trinket, amount of money to give less performance? And I think that's really like the customer came in for an upgrade, not for a sort of upgrade. So it's just not really, I just think it's a disservice.
I got a question for you.
Sorry. I was going to
No,
say,
go ahead, Scott. Finish your thought.
I'll ask Keith this question. When you install sound deadening, Keith, are you charging by the square foot for installation, or what are you doing? Linear foot?
By the sheet.
By the sheet? Even better. So you got one sheet that's basically replicating 3 models of what sound deadening is supposed to do, and you're charging the customer once.
Very good.
So.
And my question to Keith, because we've had the chance to visit Keith at his shop. We've done the whole tour, and that soundboard he's talking to is redonkulous. My question to you is Soundmat the only choice when it comes to, regardless of the level of speaker or price point that you're selling the customer, or do you offer different levels?
No, it's all we buy. It's all we sell.
Okay, so that I want to hear that, because the whole reason of having a dealer such as yourself, Keith, on here is just to understand your depth of confidence and your experience with the product. So that goes a long way, and thank you for sharing that with us. I think we've done the tour, Scott. Listen, you have an incredible story. You brought a product out of passion with your brother to market. You learned, I guess you climbed through the trenches. You even had to go through Sounds Good at one point, but you got out of there in one piece. And here you are together, and now he's your customer. You guys have a great relationship, which is fantastic. Keith, what final advice or recommendation do you have for other dealers? Because there's a whole bunch of dealers tuned in right now, and they'd like to hear one last statement when it comes to Scott's products in this category.
Oh, yeah. Put it in your own car. Have a 6-inch sound like an 8-inch in your door. Blow people's minds. Allow them to feel the experience of what happens when you do this. And then when you close the door, that thud sound that you get instead of that little tinny ting sound you get from any kind of Japanese car.
Yep.
What are you hating on Japanese cars again?
Here we go.
No, I don't own any right now.
Yeah.
No, I love that explanation what you gave there, Keith, because for me, what you guys have as a shop installed in your own vehicle is what's going to sell to the customer 99% of the time. And most guys now have DSPs. So set different DSP tunes specifically to the customer's requirement. Some customers may like more treble, some may like more mid, some may like the bass. But either way, you can replicate that sound with a good sound deadening, and it will sell.
Awesome. On that note, Keith, thank you so much for joining us. I want to mention Keith is in the runnings for a Mobile Electronics Award. Okay. I was going to mention at the end of the show. I'm going to mention now. We've got, for Sounds Good. We've got Keith and all the other Canadian finalists, which will be joining us for a special Connected on Monday. We want to give them every opportunity to promote themselves, such as Keith is so shamelessly doing right now. But we'll be coming back to you on Monday with all these nominations, so you guys can hear about it, learn about it, and hopefully get some votes in for our Canadian boys and girls who are in the running.
Conrad.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Keith.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, Keith. Appreciate it.
And Scott, on that note, thank you for making the time. And I'm so happy we finally got this done. I hope that we've covered at least, if you're going to watch this episode back, you get a sense of what SQL is all about. A couple key features with regards to Soundmat as well as Soundwave, the new Soundwave Edge that you just talked about. And I really think, the hearing that testimonial from Keith kind of drives home the message. I'd like to give you the floor to kind of close with a closing statement.
Thank you. Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said, everybody that's watching, the end of the day, it's the experience that we want to offer. We're very passionate about what we do. We want to create the best, and if it's not the best, I'm going to go back to the drawing board to create the best. And that's just how we are as a family. We're very straightforward. We're very honest. And if you haven't tried Soundmat, then please consider trying it. Compare it to what you guys are currently using. If there's something that you love more, then great. I hope we get you as a customer. If there's something you want us to improve, where we can improve absolutely anything for any one of our products.
On that note, thank you so much, Scott, and
Thanks,
best
Scott.
of luck continuing. I'm sure there's that's not the end. There's always going to be more innovations with a mind like yourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Take care now.
Thanks,
Thank
Scott.
you. I guess.
We covered it pretty good there, Romesh, but I know there's one more thing we didn't discuss, and I think there's some incentives here for dealers that they need to know about when it comes to SQL.
There are. So I kind of touched on it earlier. Here at Importel, we do feel strongly that installation should have sound deadening. And, while us nor the dealer can give away product and installs to the consumer, we can find ways to work together to sort of make it more advantageous to the end user, right? So we want end users to walk into a shop to buy, to buy and have and choose to have SQL Soundmat installed in the vehicle. And obviously, we do carry some other audio brands here in our portfolio. So if you talk to your sales rep, if you own a shop, you're an Importel customer, talk to your sales rep. We have a great program that ties SQL audio into installations of the audio brands that we carry. And it will
DB Drive, Euphoria, Audio Frog, Serwin Vega, and Arc Audio.
And SQL audio.
And SQL audio, of course.
Yeah. So we've got lots of brands, and we do want to make it find ways to make to convince dealers or consumers to choose to have sound deadening installed. So the byproduct of it, and it is, it's a program. So when Soundmat is installed for participating dealers who've bought into the audio program, one of the advantages of buying into one of their audio programs or our audio programs is when they're installing Soundmat with a set of speakers and they're on the same invoice, dealers or consumers will have a tripling of the factory speaker warranty. So it'll go from 1 year to 3 years when installed.
Wow. So basically, if you're buying the speaker, you're going to install on your customers, and you have that Soundmat on the same invoice, you're going from a 1 year warranty that you can offer your customer to a 3 year warranty.
So the standard speaker warranty typically for most manufacturers is 1 year, right? So we're trying to find a way where we want to incentivize consumers to do it, because we feel that there's a huge improvement in the audio performance, and the consumer is going to be happier with the finished product. Then the other side is, I can't, for dealers, you can't give it away for free. Then you were asking, how do I get that step, or how do we make that step? And, if there's a fixed budget, well, maybe there isn't a fixed budget anymore, because you've got this longer period of comfort for the consumer, where they don't feel as much risk.
Yeah,
they don't feel as much. It's just sort of a purge valve, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So we're just trying to incentivize and find ways to, and the manufacturers aren't. The manufacturers are not standing behind that. That's an Importel.
This is an Importel initiative.
This is an Importel initiative. So, it's on us. And, when a dealer has a problem, we're like, yeah, no problem. We put our hand up and,
perfect.
We take care of it. But for the dealer, that you're covered, right? There's no
best
risk.
way is to get a hold of your Importel rep, I presume.
Talk to your local sales rep, call me, call Kelly, call Frank, whoever. If you don't have, if you're in a territory or an area that doesn't have a rep, or if you just like talking to us because you like our voice, whichever, we're all going to have the same story. So,
all right. On that note, Romesh, want to thank you. I believe this is our last powwow together. We've done a lot this year. This might be our last one for the season. Yes, indeed. And I want to thank you.
Christmas?
Yes, we are close to Christmas. I want to thank you, Romesh, on behalf of us, all of
You're
us
welcome.
here at CMA.
Thank you guys
included.
This is a really, really great platform that you guys have put together, and it's really important, I think, to the industry and the consumers, really, because consumers have access to all this.
You know what? Knowledge is key, and that's what we're trying to propagate. So again, we couldn't do it without you. Thank you for taking all the time. I know, what people don't realize is the amount of discussions, preparation, and all that goes on behind the scenes so that you come on and we give them what they want. So thank you for that, and thank you for Importel.
Well, thank you guys for putting the time in. I really appreciate it.
Happy holidays, my friend.
Happy holidays to you too. You, Frank, and the whole crew.
All right. Take care now.
Thanks, Ricky.
Okay, bye. That's it. That was Romesh from Importel, who is the Canadian distributor for SQL Audio. Today we spoke about Soundmat as well as Soundwave and their brand new Soundwave Edge that'll be coming out. Make sure you get a hold of your Importel rep to get more details about their interesting warranty extension program when you pair a speaker purchase along with a Soundmat purchase. You get to triple your warranty to get a 3-year warranty, and that is an Importel initiative. I want to give a big shout out to Keith McCumber from Sounds Good for taking the time and waking up early. I know he had to down an energy drink, but he was vibrant as usual, and we always appreciate his lessons. Wow, he really shared a lot with us today, and a big shout out to Scott from SQL for taking the time. On that note, I want to wish everybody a fantastic weekend. We only got a couple more left. I do want to remind you guys to tune in on Monday. I mentioned it before. We're going to have all the finalists in the runnings for an award from the mobile electronics industry. There's installers, there's retailers, so on and so forth. We're going to have them in the studio and get the skinny on all that. We're going to go have an interview from Chris Cook himself from ME, and we're going to learn all about the awards because we want you guys, that's right, you guys to vote for your fellow professionals within our Canadian 12-volt industry. Yeah, I think that's about it. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm your host, Ben Wu. This has been CMA Connected, presented by SiriusXM. Have a great weekend. Until next time, we connect.
Hey, y'all. Can we change up the chores?
Sorry. It's up to the wheel, man.
Oh, yeah?
Hey, change the channel back.
Sorry, it's up to the wheel.